For many African governments, the need to spend heavily on security and defense has never been more critical given the rise in both internal and external terror incidents, as well as the soaring animosity between states. The recurrence of internal conflicts has forced many African nations to strengthen their military and security structures. In order to defeat terror organizations, several African nations have been compelled to devote significant portions of their budgets to their militaries, although Africa only makes up 2% of global military spending. Irrespective of the continent's position relative to other continents in total military spending, our video today ranks the 10 African countries with the highest defense budgets. Make sure to give our video a like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Following years of decline due to economic recession, Angola's defense budget is set to rise in the next half-decade from $0.9 billion in 2021 to $1.9 billion by 2026, registering a healthy compound annual growth rate of 3.2% and keeping Angola as one of Africa's largest defense spenders. According to Global Data, a leading data and analytics company, this will amount to a total defense and security expenditure of $8.5 billion over the next 5 years, primarily driven by the country's modernization of outdated defense systems and funding of military hardware procurement programs. Angola is ranked 66th out of 140 countries in terms of military capability in 2022, according to Global Firepower. Although there hasn't been a major war in Uganda, there have been some areas of unrest brought on by cattle rustlers in the Karamoja region. Nevertheless, Uganda has been allocating a sizable sum of money each year to the defense sector. Kenya leads the region in military spending. However, Uganda is catching up after Nairobi cut the defense budget for 2 years in a row, while Kampala exceeded the billion-dollar mark last year. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, an independent global security think tank based in Sweden, Uganda's military expenditure reached $1.066 billion last year, an 8.3% increase from $985 million in 2020. Military spending in Tunisia has risen to more than 2% of GDP in recent years as counterterrorism has become a government priority. Due to ongoing conflict in neighboring states and increased support for non-state armed actors and extremist groups, the country has been declared in a state of emergency since 2015. Tunisia's military expenditure averaged $318.64 million from 1961 to 2020, with a high of $1.046 billion in 2020 and a low of $44.10 million in 1965. Currently, Tunisia's defense budget is at $1.1 billion. Kenya was the largest military spender in sub-Saharan Africa in 2021, respectively, and rightfully so, particularly as Kenya invaded Somalia a decade ago to fight the Al-Shabaab militia before joining the African Union mission in Somalia, which is assisting the Mogadishu government in its fight against the insurgents. Kenya is also fighting the ISIS Central African Republic terror group in the Democratic Republic of the Congo through the United Nations Stabilization Mission in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Kenya's military spending was $1.113 billion last year, a 0.1% decrease from $1.115 billion in 2020. South Africa is currently the world's 26th most powerful military, up from 32nd back in 2012. In Africa, it ranks second, only behind Egypt. However, analysts have been warning for years that the country's military is in critical decline. The Defense Ministry and military leaders have lamented the crippling budget cuts over the years. According to a report by Strategic Defense Intelligence, Libya's annual military expenditure was estimated at $2.7 billion in 2017 and was projected to reach $3.3 billion by 2022, with a compound annual growth rate of 4.88%. The Libyan defense budget currently stands at $3.475 billion, with efforts to rebuild the armed forces following the 2011 revolution driving defense spending. Security reforms and the modernization of systems to replace obsolete Soviet-era military hardware are also major drivers of the country's military spending. Egypt has one of the largest military forces and major weapon inventories in the Middle East and North Africa. According to official government figures, Egypt's military spending has averaged $3.8 billion per year over the last decade, which is relatively low by regional standards. Strategic Defense Intelligence reported about 5 years back that Egypt's annual military spending was expected to reach $5.6 billion by 2022, with a compound annual growth rate of 6.58%. But Statista estimates that the country's current total defense budget is closer to $4.357 billion presently. Morocco's army has grown to become the world's 56th best-armed country, led by King Mohammed VI. Its steadily increasing military budget has resulted in the acquisition of fighter jets and combat helicopters, as well as Apache helicopters recently acquired from the U.S. and ready for use in the event of a conflict. Morocco's defense spending has steadily increased in recent years, but it now stands at $5.439 billion. Nonetheless, with a conflict brewing in Western Sahara, who knows what will happen? Nigeria, with $5.8 billion in defense spending, tops the list of sub-Saharan African countries. Nigeria has increased its military spending and defense budget in recent years to strengthen its armed forces and boost security. The World Bank reports that Nigeria approved a $1.72 billion defense budget in 2016, but observed a 5.92% decline the following year. The military spending budget increased by 26.02% from the previous year to $2.04 billion in 2018. However, it rose to $2.4 billion in 2020, and the nation's military spending rose dramatically by 56% to $4.5 billion in 2021. This shows that Nigeria spent more than $19.9 billion between 2016 and 2022 in total on security alone. Due to spillover from Libya and the presence of radical fundamentalists there, Algeria continues to struggle with terrorism. The nation also aspires to have the region's strongest military. As a result, it is spending money to buy multipurpose aircraft, armored vehicles, frigates and helicopters, among others. Along with new procurement plans, military modernization plans are also anticipated to be maintained. Regarding defense procurement, it has consistently ranked among the top spenders worldwide, and future years are expected to see a continuation of this trend. Algeria also leads all of Africa as the nation that spent the most money on military purchases with a $9.7 billion defense budget. Overall, the continent's largest national defense budget was allocated to North Africa. This is based on information that Statista released in April 2022. There you have it. Those are the 10 African countries with the highest defense budgets. If you enjoy this video, watch also the next video on your screen, which presents the 10 most electrified countries in Africa. As always, make sure to give the video a like and subscribe to our channel for more exciting trending and development topics in Africa.